Chosen ones are never marked by crowns or ceremonies. They are marked by the quiet shift within, a readiness that only a few recognize. When the world grows louder, those who are prepared begin to hear something different, something hidden beneath the noise. That is why you are here. Not by chance, not by luck, but because your inner state has aligned with this moment. To be chosen means your consciousness is no longer satisfied with drifting. It seeks direction, it seeks mastery. In this teaching, you will discover why certain dates hold meaning beyond calendars. You will learn how Shaolin masters treat discipline not as punishment, but as liberation. You will see why silence, restraint, and breath are not ordinary acts but gateways to power. And you will understand why those who carry themselves with presence shift the course of their lives without force, without chasing, without fear. The path of mastery is hidden in plain sight. Most overlook it because they expect thunder, miracles, or spectacle. But the true test arrives quietly, through restraint when tempted, through stillness when provoked, through persistence when others falter. These are the secrets I will unfold. They are not theories. They are lived truths passed down through generations of Shaolin training. Stay with me until the end of this message, because what you will hear is not common knowledge. It is a form of initiation, a reminder that your life can be sharpened, focused, and awakened right now. I welcome you to Shaolin Soulfire. If the words here speak to you, if they awaken something within, I invite you to subscribe and continue this journey with us. There are moments in life when the air feels different, though nothing visible has changed. The sun still rises, the world continues as before, but inside you know the day carries weight. This is the mystery of thresholds. The date itself is ordinary, a mark on a calendar, yet for those who are awake it becomes a quiet initiation. In Shaolin teaching, time is not measured only by clocks or seasons. Time is measured by readiness. A moment becomes sacred not because it is written in the stars, but because your spirit recognizes it as the moment to shift. The threshold is not outside of you, it opens within you. Consider the student who trains for years in silence. One morning, the master gives a single word of recognition. It is not the word that holds power, it is the years of discipline that prepared the student to finally hear it. The same applies to these dates. Neutral to the world but alive to the one who is prepared. Crossing such a threshold requires discipline. Without it, the moment passes like wind through the trees, noticed but not captured. Discipline is the act of anchoring yourself in awareness so that when life whispers, you are ready to listen. A date can then become a doorway, not just a passing day. This is why certain days feel charged, though nothing magical is written upon them. They reflect your inner state, the same way a still lake reflects the moon. When you are ready, life sends you a signal, a reminder that it is time to step forward, lighter and sharper. These thresholds invite you to choose presence over distraction, mastery over drift, and action over delay. Many mistake discipline for restriction, as if it were a chain around the neck. In truth, discipline is the act of cutting chains. It is not punishment, it is the quiet removal of chaos. Where disorder once ruled, order takes root. Where scattered energy drained the spirit, focus begins to restore it. The ancients understood this well. In Shaolin practice, discipline is not about harshness or control. It is about creating a clear path where the mind and body can move without stumbling. Think of a garden. Without care, weeds spread and choke the soil. But with steady tending, space opens for flowers to bloom. Discipline is that tending of the inner garden. It begins not with grand sacrifices, but with the smallest acts. The way you breathe slow, steady, and conscious restores clarity. The way you hold your posture, upright, balanced, rooted, anchors the mind in presence. The way you practice silence, speaking less, listening more, saves energy that would otherwise scatter. Each of these acts seems simple, yet each one shapes the foundation of self-mastery. A person who cannot control a single breath cannot expect to control their life. A body that slouches invites a mind that drifts. Words spoken carelessly weaken the spirit as surely as leaks sink a vessel. Through daily discipline, the fragments of life begin to align. Breath gathers the mind, posture aligns the body, silence strengthens the heart. Slowly, chaos loosens its grip. The storms within calm and a different strength emerges, not loud, not forceful, but steady and unshakable. This is the essence of discipline, not an outside command, but an inner alignment that frees you to walk the path with clarity. Presence is the art of standing fully in this breath, this step, this moment. It is not the mind running backward into memories, nor racing forward into what has not yet come. To be present is to root yourself where life is actually happening. Here now. The Shaolin path teaches that presence is not something you visit, it is something you live. Every movement is a chance to train awareness. When eating, the focus is not only on the taste but on gratitude for the food, the rhythm of chewing, the energy it brings. When walking, each step touches the ground with intention, steady and grounded. Even in breathing, presence is cultivated. The inhale filling the body like a tide, the exhale releasing what no longer serves. This training is not about perfection. It is about returning. The mind will wander, as it always does, but the discipline lies in bringing it back gently again and again, until awareness becomes second nature. Like sharpening a blade, each return makes the edge clearer. There is an old teaching, when you walk, just walk. When you sit, just sit. But whatever you do, do not wobble. It speaks to the danger of scattering ourselves, half here, half elsewhere. A scattered life loses its strength, but presence gathers it all into one point, powerful and clear. Through presence, even the simplest acts become gateways to mastery. Drinking water, folding cloth, sweeping the floor, these are no longer chores but practices. Each one strengthens the mind's ability to stay where it belongs. And when the mind is steady in small things, it can face great challenges without breaking. This is the quiet power of presence, to live with both feet firmly planted in the now. Destiny does not arrive by accident. It is carved, step by step, from the thoughts we allow to dwell in the mind. A single thought may seem harmless, like a seed carried on the wind, but when watered by attention, it takes root. From it grows action, and from repeated action, a pattern of life unfolds. In this way, thoughts shape action, and action shapes destiny. The ancients knew the mind was a sacred space. They taught that one must guard it as carefully as a temple. You would not allow intruders to defile a holy place. Why then allow destructive thoughts to enter and linger? Each careless thought is like leaving the temple door unlatched, inviting disorder inside. Guarding the mind is not about fear or suppression, it is about vigilance. It is the discipline of choosing what you will host within. When anger knocks, do you welcome it? When doubt whispers, do you listen? To guard the mind means to meet each visitor at the gate, and to allow only those that bring strength, clarity, and peace. Consider how warriors of old trained not only their bodies but their inner vision. Before battle, they would still their thoughts, focusing only on courage and precision. They understood that an undisciplined mind was a greater enemy than any opponent. Victory was decided first within, then without. In daily life, the same truth applies. A thought of gratitude plants harmony. A thought of bitterness plants conflict. Over time, the harvest always reflects the seeds sown. By guarding the mind as a temple, you ensure that the destiny being shaped is one of balance, mastery, and quiet strength. For the mind once trained becomes the most faithful ally on the path. Words are not light. They carry weight. Every syllable we release leaves an imprint, shaping not only how others see us but also how we shape ourselves. Careless words are like cracks in stone. Small at first, but over time they weaken the foundation. Mindful words, on the other hand, are like careful carvings, each one placed with intention, each one building strength and beauty. The ancients treated speech as sacred. They believed the tongue was a blade sharper than steel. With it one could cut down or uplift, wound or heal. This is why silence was often valued more than endless talking. A word spoken without awareness could not be recalled, but a word spoken with clarity had the power to move mountains within the heart. To be chosen on the path of mastery is to recognize this truth. It is not enough to guard the mind. one must also align the inner and outer voice. Inner speech, the quiet dialogue you hold with yourself, is just as powerful as the words you share aloud. If your inner voice is filled with doubt, criticism, and fear, your outer life will reflect the same. If your inner voice speaks with clarity, faith, and truth, then your actions grow from solid ground. Think of a river. If the water is muddied at its source, everything downstream is unclear. But if the source is pure, the river flows clean and strong. So it is with speech. When inner speech aligns with truth, outer speech becomes a force that builds rather than destroys. The disciplined one does not speak to impress, but to express what is real and necessary. This is how words become instruments of strength rather than echoes of weakness. True strength is not proven by how much force one can unleash, but by how much energy one can hold without spilling. Restraint is often misunderstood as suppression, as if one were caging a wild animal. But suppression only breeds tension, waiting for the moment to break free. Restraint in its true form is conscious redirection. It is the art of choosing where your energy flows. The Shaolin way teaches that energy is life itself. Every impulse, whether of anger, desire, or distraction, demands a portion of that life. To give in without awareness is to scatter strength in many directions until little remains. But when impulses are met with discipline, that same energy becomes fuel for growth. Think of fire. Left uncontrolled, it burns forests to ash. But when guided, it forges steel and warms homes. Restraint is the vessel that channels the flame, turning chaos into power. A single moment of holding back an angry word, a careless action, or an indulgent habit creates space for something higher to emerge. The ancients observed that those who wasted their energy on fleeting desires aged quickly in spirit, while those who guarded and redirected their energy walked lighter and sharper. Energy saved from impulses strengthens the body through health, the mind through clarity, and the spirit through purpose. Each act of restraint is like depositing power into a hidden account, from which mastery draws its wealth. Restraint is therefore not weakness, it is a sign of one who sees beyond the moment. To turn away from impulse is not denial, it is choosing the higher path. It is the recognition that every drop of energy is sacred, and when directed with wisdom, it builds a life of strength, balance, and enduring purpose. The breath is the thread that ties body, mind, and spirit together. It is so close, so constant, that most forget its power. Yet in every tradition of inner mastery, breath is seen as the very current of life. Without it, thought ceases, movement stops, and the flame of existence is extinguished. With it, the door to clarity, balance, and strength is always open. Shaolin teachings hold that mastery of breath is mastery of self. When the breath is shallow and restless, the mind mirrors that state, scattered, uneasy, fragile. When the breath is deep and steady, the mind becomes anchored, calm, and clear. The rhythm of breathing is the rhythm of inner being. In training halls, students begin not with leaps or strikes but with breathing. To inhale fully is to draw in energy, to exhale completely is to release what burdens. Each breath becomes a cycle of renewal, a silent cleansing of the spirit. With each conscious breath, tension drops from the muscles and clarity rises like mist lifting from water. The ancients compared breath to wind moving across a still pond. If the wind is wild, the reflection on the water is broken. But when the wind is gentle and steady, the reflection becomes clear. So it is with the mind. Guided breath calms the inner winds, allowing truth to appear without distortion. To walk in awareness of breath is to carry a hidden weapon against chaos. In moments of anger, a deep breath can halt a reckless word. In times of fear, steady breathing can return courage. In daily life, conscious breathing transforms ordinary actions into practice. The path of breath is simple, yet it holds the key to balance, mastery, and the quiet strength of presence. Every life carries obstacles. Some arrive suddenly, like storms breaking a calm sky. Others appear slowly, like stones rising on a path. It is easy to see them as curses, as misfortunes placed in our way. But the ancient teachings remind us obstacles are not punishments, they are tests. They appear not to break us, but to show us what still needs to be strengthened within. A sword that has never met resistance cannot be trusted in battle. It must be struck, pressed and sharpened against stone until its edge is true. In the same way, the spirit must meet challenge, for without friction there is no refinement. Difficulty is the whetstone of the soul. When obstacles arise, awareness is the shield that keeps one from despair. To endure blindly is to suffer without meaning. But to endure with awareness is to see the hidden lesson within the trial. Each hardship strips away illusion, false strength, false certainty, false control, until only what is real remains. The Shaolin path teaches that suffering can purify. The body learns its limits, the mind learns patience, and the heart learns humility. A monk walking through years of discipline does not curse the aches or the repetition. He understands that every discomfort is shaping him, carving away what is unnecessary, revealing a form that is lighter and sharper. So it is with life outside the monastery. When the road bends and barriers rise, one can choose to see them as walls or as gates. With awareness, every obstacle becomes an initiation. Every difficulty a teacher. Enduring with this understanding does not just carry you through hardship, it transforms the hardship into fuel, sharpening the spirit for the path ahead. True mastery is not found in extremes. It is not the rigid hardness that shatters at the first blow, nor the softness that bends without direction. Mastery is balance, the ability to stand firm when firmness is required, and to move gently when gentleness brings harmony. The ancients often spoke of water as the highest teacher. Water is soft to the touch, yielding to every shape it meets, yet over time, it carves valleys, wears down stone, and sustains all life. Its gentleness does not weaken it, its strength lies within its adaptability. So too must the person of wisdom carry both qualities, unyielding strength and quiet softness, woven into one. In Shaolin practice, a student learns this balance through movement. The body strikes with precision and power, but the strike is guided by breath and rooted in calm. Too much tension and the movement is stiff. Too much relaxation and the movement has no force. Balance is the key, strength without aggression, softness without weakness. This principle extends beyond training halls. A leader who rules only with harshness breeds fear, not loyalty. A parent who offers only softness breeds indulgence, not growth. But the one who can hold firmness in discipline and gentleness in compassion creates harmony. Wisdom requires the discernment to know when to stand unmovable, like a mountain, and when to flow around obstacles, like a stream. It is this balance that allows mastery to endure. Without it, strength becomes cruelty and gentleness becomes fragility. But together, they form a wholeness, a life lived with clarity, resilience, and grace. To walk this path is to embody both sword and silk, thunder and silence, power and mercy. This is the harmony of true mastery. Silence is often mistaken for absence, as if nothing happens when words fall away. But silence is not emptiness, it is power. Beneath the noise of thought and speech lies a deeper current, steady and unshaken. To step into silence is to touch that current, to hear the voice that rarely speaks when the world is loud. The ancients valued silence as a form of training stronger than endless talk. In monasteries, long periods of quiet were not punishments but disciplines of sharpening. When the tongue rests, the mind no longer scatters its energy outward. It begins to turn inward, reflecting back its own nature. In this stillness, illusions fade, and what is real begins to emerge. Consider a lake disturbed by constant ripples. It cannot reflect the sky clearly. Only when it becomes still does the reflection appear in perfect detail. The same is true of the mind. In silence, distractions settle and clarity rises. What felt hidden was always there, waiting to be seen. Silence also teaches restraint. Not every thought deserves a voice. Not every impulse deserves release. The strength to remain quiet is the strength to conserve energy, to choose words with precision when they are finally spoken. In this way, silence gives power to speech, turning each word into a deliberate act rather than a careless echo. Most of all, silence opens space for guidance. The deeper voice, the one that knows before reason, the one that calls you toward alignment, can only be heard when noise falls away. To enter silence is to stand at the doorway of wisdom, where the path ahead becomes clearer, not through force, but through listening. In this quiet, the spirit learns to lead. The truth is simple. Being chosen is not a gift handed down from the outside, it is a state you create within yourself, through readiness and discipline. Each day offers you the chance to step into presence, to breathe with awareness, to hold your energy with restraint, and to return to silence for clarity. These are not distant ideals, they are practices that can begin in this very moment. Carry this lesson into your daily life. Let your breath remind you of calm. Let your posture remind you of strength. Let your silence remind you of wisdom. When you live this way, the path of mastery is not somewhere you walk to, it is the ground you stand on right now. May these words guide you toward balance and clarity. And if this message resonates with you, I invite you to support our journey by liking this video and subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire. Together, we continue walking the path of inner mastery, calm, awake, and aligned.